Hi guys, if you own a second generation Fiat Bravo and you need to change your engine mount that sits on this side of the engine, let me show you how to do it. Right, so let me show you why you might be thinking you might need a new engine mount. This is mine, and as you can see down here, let me just get the torch right, there's sort of all this black stuff that's leaking out of it. And my suspicions are that this is fluid filled and that fluid has failed us. Come on. There we go. And the same is true around this end. You can just see in there it's beginning to sort of leak out a load of stuff. So new engine mount required. And here is my new engine mount. This one's come direct from my local dealer. I'll put a link in the description below with the part number. This is for a 1.4 T-Jet 150 horsepower. There'll be different engine mounts for different engines. There's quite a few of these aftermarket, Lemforder, Febby, a couple of others as well. But at the time I was ordering this just over a week ago, there was literally no aftermarket part in stock. The only part I could get was one direct from my local Fiat dealer. So I've had to go that route. 167, 168 pounds this was in the end. So the first thing we need to do is get it up on axle stands, so let's do that now. The reason for doing that is because we need to get the car in the air in order to get underneath and remove the under tray, and from there I'll be able to support the engine on that side when I remove that engine mount, because otherwise that side of the engine will be unsupported and will drop down. So here at the under tray, what we've got is 3 Phillips head screws on each side, 3 here, 3 on this side, and then we've got 2 10mm bolts at the front and 2 10mm bolts at the rear, and then this should all come down. So let's do those screws first. There we go. Surprisingly, these are all still here. Normally a 10-year-old car, a couple of these would be missing, but seem to all be here. Those are the Phillips all done. Now onto the 10mm. Right, let's drop this down. Nice and easy. There we go. Let's just put that up there. And now what we've got is clear access to the bottom of the engine so we can support it when we take the mount off. So here's my trolley jack. I've put one of these big jacking pads on it just to protect the bottom of the engine. We're just going to slide it in and just take a little bit of pressure off that engine. I wouldn't normally like jacking on a sump, but this looks like the fairly robust kind. Just put a little bit of pressure on the mount, on the sump, ready to move that mount. In order to get proper access to this engine mount, we need to remove this expansion tank. And there are 2 10mm bolts here that need to come off, and then there's one interference type bung fitting to remove off there. I'm hoping it will just swing out of the way. I really don't want to go draining the system. That's one. Right, that's number 2, and then, yep, there we go. It's just lifted straight off out of that bung, and then we can move that around. So they're now loose. Let's get the driver on them. Going to keep them in order over here. There we go. And as you can see, that's dropped ever so slightly. I just need to put a little bit of pressure into the jack to check that's okay. There we go. And then let's get onto those smaller ones. Actually, I've got the perfect tool for this, a ratcheting flexi bar. Right, come back to that one. And there's one back here. There it is. Yeah, that's good. And the last one is right down here on the back. Windy, windy. There we go. Okay. Let's save myself a bit of time. Get that in. Covered in something. That's a good size. And that's that middle one. Oh yes, there we go, really nice. And there we go. Whatever it's leaking is still leaking because it's just gone all over me. Yeah, not very nice. Let's get that on the bench and have a quick look. Here's my old engine mount then out of the car, and here is the new one. Now Fiat have changed the part number of this, so there was a bit of confusion when I was in the dealership trying to organise a replacement, and as far as I can tell the only difference is the presence of this mounting point. It's not needed on my car because I don't have one on the original, but it must be needed on another car, and I'm hoping that's the only change. Everything else seems completely the same. It's still leaking. I'm showing you a bit later, but it all otherwise looks perfectly fine. Now, proof obviously is in the fitting. Let's just get a bit of light on this and see if we can see what's going on. So it's clearly got something in it. Fluid filled. There we go. It does just look like engine oil, but it doesn't smell like engine oil. Yeah. Anyway, old mount, new mount. Let's get that new mount. Here's a good test, the old wobble test. As you can see, there's a lot of movement I can create there with my hands, and it feels, I don't feel too bad, but it definitely is quite rubbery. You get the new one here, and that is much firmer to the feel, particularly in the vertical movement. That movement still quite soft, but that movement up and down, very little in them. Anyway, let's get this fitted in. There we go. Just cleaned up the chassis leg, a bit of brake cleaner. Whatever that stuff is, it's clearly not oil because it doesn't come off very easily. Let's get that under. And there we go. Lines up really nicely. Clean off these bolts. Okay, and then what one was that one? And that one. And that one. So I've just done a check online and found the torque for these bolts. Actually involved downloading the workshop manual, and that probably took longer than this job, to be fair. So what I'm going to do is set this up. It says for these 3 bolts, and indeed the other 3 bolts, it needs to be between 45 and 55 Newton meters. So I'm going to go right in the middle and go with 50 on the ratchet. So, and then it's just a case of tightening these up. There we go, those 3 done. It's also worth noting in the workshop manual, it referenced that these bolts should be replaced, and if I was doing a proper belts and braces job I would do, but given the circumstance that this car has, it's had a few knocks and scrapes, so it's not a minter by any means. I'm going to continue to use those existing ones. But right, let's do those bolts. And done. So then the last bit is just to put this expansion bottle back, and it's got this little bung it fits in on the engine mount. Let's get the wires out of the way. And then just our 2 10mm to go back in. And there we go, everything back together. Let me give you a quick show. There we go, right. So there we are, nice new engine mount. Light fading a bit, but again, those 3 and these bolts, that one, the one under there, and then the one down the back, all done to 50 Newton meters. Right, so last thing to do is to put back that under tray and then take it for a quick drive, check that everything's okay. So there we go guys, nice fix for the Fiat today. I hope that's helpful. Thank you as always for watching. I suppose the last thing to mention is that actually I had no real symptoms of that engine mount failing. We've seen it's leaking fluid, it's clearly not right. But other than maybe a tiny bit of imprecision in the gear shift, there was no clonking, there was no noise. But if you've got one of these, have a check, look at it. If it is broken, it really isn't a difficult fix. It's just a case of getting hold of the right part and getting a little bit of time to get it fitted. So as always, if you like what you've seen here today, press that like button. If you want to see something, if you think I've done something wrong, let me know. If you think I've done something really well, let me know that too. And if you aren't a subscriber already and you like this kind of content, then please do hit that subscribe button as well. I look forward to coming to you in the next one very soon. Thanks and goodbye.